You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Today, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Violence Against Women Act. Republicans, when they were in control, refused to do so. A significant number of Republicans voted against this bill. More than 150. Why? Makes no sense whatsoever. This is what took place today.
This has been a long journey, and I think it's important to take note of the many women who have helped us do so, but do this in the name of so many women who've lost their lives. I take this moment on the floor to support the unblock amendment, but as well to encourage my colleagues on the other side of the aisle of how somber and serious a moment this is. That we do not take lightly to the floor because so many of us in our own congressional districts have seen the scourge of domestic violence. We have seen the rise in domestic violence in a meteoric manner under COVID-19. It is rabid and rampant in all of our cities. Our law enforcement officers have told us it is the most dangerous call that they can possibly make. I'm particularly concerned about sex trafficked victims, and I'm very glad in the manager's amendment that it has language in there that indicates that sex trafficking victims experience sexual violence and assault, and that the federal recognition of their recovery is important. We look at all aspects of this important issue in our country. The en bloc amendment represents members' concerns for improving the treatment of women and men, the LGBTQ community, Native Americans, immigrant women, culturally diverse. To the 200 plus organizations of the coalition, I want to say thank you to you for advocating with us. Writing this bill in 2018 and never giving up has been the challenge that I have taken up. I am very grateful to the many women who have joined me. And even though it was not passed when there was a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House, and then it was blocked by the Republican Senate, we have now come with a fully robust, comprehensive bill that responds to the concerns of those who cannot help themselves. Housing and other aspects of this.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
I yield her another minute.
The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
The provisions that are in this bill pointedly speak to needs that have been brought to our attention by victims. This bill deals with victims. And so when you are fleeing your home because your name is not on the lease or the mortgage, we now have provided an expedited process for you to get housing with your children. We intervene and have cultural and sensitivity training for men and boys. We have a culturally sensitive or sensitivity office inside the Office of Domestic Violence so that women of different cultural backgrounds can be responded to, along with focusing on culturally sensitive advocacy groups to help those women. And yes, we do prevent a convicted person who has perpetrated a stalking or sexual assault from getting a gun. But this bill is controlled by due process in the Constitution. Let's pass this bill. Women are waiting. They can't wait any longer. Men are waiting. Many communities are waiting. We can't wait any longer, and we must pass this bill signed by the President of the United States. With that, I yield back.
I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I join my colleagues wearing white to support the passage of the Violence Against Women Act. I am a proud co-sponsor of VAWA and join President Biden in stating violence against women is the ugliest form of violence there is. So let's keep women safe and call on the Senate to pass this bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 244. The nays are 172. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Let's introduce our panel, folks. Joining us now, Dr. Greg Carr, Chair, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University, Reese Colbert, Black Women in Views, and also Amisha Cross, political analyst and Democratic strategist. Reese, is there any explanation why so many Republicans would vote against the Violence Against Women Act? Now, first of all, for the people who criticized Joe Biden for the 1994 crime bill, they forget this actually was a part of that crime bill. Mm-hmm. Republicans, when they had control, they would not advance this forward. Democrats did. And you had, of course, restrictions when it came to being able to get guns, those who are involved in domestic violence. It's amazing how Republicans will defend abusers because they care so much and they adore guns so much.
Well, I mean, in addition to the fact that Republicans are irredeemable and they're obstructionists and they don't actually give a damn about the humanity of anybody, all they care about is tax cuts and guns, this isn't surprising. I mean, the reality is that the fact that there are some additional provisions in the bill that relate to gun control, it's kind of par for the course for the Republicans to be against that. Even in the Senate, they're talking about introducing kind of a rival measure that doesn't have the gun measurement in there. But the reality is that domestic abusers tend to be the ones who are people who have animus towards women are the ones who are out there doing these mass shootings. Their violence escalates. And so it's a perfectly reasonable provision to close the boyfriend loophole. We just saw 2 days ago evidence of people or a person, particularly a white male domestic terrorist, who obviously has some sort of not just racist, but misogynistic and hateful attitudes towards women, who was able to get a gun the same day and go down and gun down 6 Asian women. And so Republicans are constantly showing that they are against women and on all of their rights, and that they just are not reasonable governing partners. They're just standing in the way.
I really can't understand any logic whatsoever with Amisha opposing the Violence Against Women Act. I can't think of any.
Roland, there isn't any. And statistics continue to show us 7 in 10 women. And the number is even higher when we're talking about women who happen to be from people of color backgrounds. The violence against women continues to uptick across this country. And I think that what we heard in the C-SPAN snippet earlier was absolutely correct. We know that during this pandemic, where women have been in lockdown, there have been more violent acts committed against them, specifically because the shelters, the places that they used to go for help, they were not as easily accessible because of the social distancing and because of the regulations around that. So we had some major issues. On a personal note, 2 of my closest friends were murdered by their significant others. And to Reese's point a moment ago, a lot of this is because of the proximity these violent men have with weapons. The most dangerous place for a woman to be is with a man who is violent, but that violence is often precipitated by the use of a gun. And the allotment that these men have, the boyfriend loophole, that allows for them to go and get these weapons that they use to intimidate and murder women, I think is something that we need to work towards. It baffles me that Republicans cannot, will not, and are just ignorant to the fact or just do not want to move on the Violence Against Women Act. And this isn't new. This isn't something that just came about because of the Trump era. We've been trying to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act for quite some time at this point, and Republicans have served to block it each and every time. I think this goes down the hill with the rest of the things they've tried to strip women of, not only safety and protections, but also their right to choose, being a pro-choice person, their right to actually access equal pay. What we know about the Republican Party is that when it comes to women, they don't care about dismantling every right that we have, even if it comes down to our own right to life and protection. Mm-hmm.
Greg Carr.
No, I agree. I agree with Reese. I agree with Amisha. I mean, but this is actually probably fairly straightforward in terms of understanding. Mm-hmm. The White Nationalist Party can count. So until they can deprive the rest of us of the ability to vote, and of course they're hard at work at that, they have to shore up their base. The center of this settler project we call the United States of America is whiteness, and at the center of whiteness is white maleness, is patriarchy. Their base is far less concerned with protecting women, white women. Understand, because there's the theocratic element, a woman is to be secondary to the male in the house. Not to say that the rest of us haven't picked up some very bad habits in proximity to them. They don't give a damn about Amisha. They don't give a damn about Reese. They don't give a damn about your wife. They don't give a damn about my mom or a sister. And they don't care about none of us. But that's as a piece, black. Within whiteness, they don't care about white women. So, I don't think it's an accident that they trot Joni Ernst out to be the one to say, oh, we got some issues with gun control. No, this is fairly simple to understand. Whether it be extending housing vouchers or unemployment insurance or rape prevention or legal aid, whether it be allowing our First Nations kin to be able to act against non-natives who are on reservations who commit domestic violence. The White Nationalist Party realizes it can't win any more elections if the rest of this country continues to swell in numbers and vote. So what they are doubling down on has very little to do about the subject. They're going to say no to everything because they realize they are heading toward the type of apartheid state minority rule strategy. In fact, they've already embraced it that we saw in South Africa, which, by the way, to echo what Amisha said, I was listening to something the other day, COVID has seen a sharp spike in domestic violence all over the world. But they don't give a damn about that. They're trying to win elections, which means no to everything at this point.
Well, that is absolutely the case. It is shameful and ridiculous because there are women who are seriously being impacted by violence all across this country, such as the violence that we saw that took place in Atlanta. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.